Yo, guys. Oh, still always trying to figure out this technology thing. Can everybody hear me all right? I was actually, what's up, Chad? I was actually playing with my phone. I know it looks okay when I watch the videos, but my camera, which is right here, up here, I feel like when I'm looking over here. Where am I at? Over on the side. But I know you guys see me looking straight, unless I'm looking up top or I'm looking at one of my monitors. But when I'm looking straight at you, and for me to really look straight on, then I'm looking at nothing, and it just feels weird. So I had my phone, and I was trying to set it up so I could see myself on a live stream, so I could see where I was looking. But it did not work. It had a delay and echoey. So that was not good at all. Chad, when am I going to see you again? All right. I got a special disc for you. I'm excited to give to you. You going to the Diva Fever this weekend? So, all right, guys. I'm going to bring up on my screen here. It seems like one of the ways I've been starting all of these podcasts is with the new releases. And since tomorrow is New Release Friday, pretty excited about that. It seems like a lot of good stuff has been coming out this year. And a few new Air discs, the Air Captain, the Air Maverick, the Air Defender, the Air Underworld. I actually went out and played with the Defender and the Maverick. I have not thrown the Captain. I've not thrown the Underworld, but I loved the Defender. The Defender I could crank on. I felt like I could control it. It still was fairly overstable, but I could get it to turn slightly right for me a little bit more, and I could feel like I could control it. And the Maverick, as a normal Maverick, being understable, I felt that the Air Maverick was even a hair bit, a little more overstable. I was just cranking on that disc, and it was not turning over for me. I mean, I could get it to stand up and slightly flex, but nothing like you would think. Now, I was throwing in a pretty calm wind. I was throwing in mostly tailwind, but it was probably 5, maybe 10 miles an hour at the most. If you haven't had a chance to try those yet, I would definitely look into those. Again, I haven't thrown the Captain. Never really thrown. I don't know that I've ever thrown the Underworld. So for me personally, I just wasn't as excited about that particular one. And it just occurred to me, it's May 9th. You guys may not know this, but May 9th means we are approximately away from Hand-Eye Subscription Box Day. Pretty excited about that too, and I assure you there will be a video with that one. I've been really working on my videoing, and I love doing it. Chad, were you throwing the Air Defender? Is that the one that you were checking out, or was it a regular Defender? So, and then speaking of the Hand-Eye Subscription Box, I also have the, I think it's a little delayed, but I have the Disc Store subscription box coming too here very soon. And it has a BT Hard Gatekeeper in that. So I'm really curious to try that more for the tackiness. So I love the Gatekeeper. The Gatekeeper, like I've said many times, is a beat up verdict, or for me is a beat up verdict, a slightly more overstable EMAC Truth or Truth in general. But the BT, I feel like when my hands are sweaty in those 90 to 100 degree days, after rain, early morning when the condensation is on the ground, I think that's when that's going to really come in handy. I haven't thrown a lot of the lower grade plastics except for putters, so but I'm still curious, and that's from the disc member store subscription. I think those are the only two that I do now. I used to do a par four, short par four, which was golf. And it gave me a bunch of apparel, clothing, stuff that was not disc golf related that I could still wear on the course. But I did that for about a year and I stopped. But yeah, I'm excited to get that BT Hard Gatekeeper. I'm excited for my hand-eye subscription box. I'm excited just to see what else is coming out. I'm curious to see what happens with the release tomorrow. How many people are excited for the airs? I know this past week some fundraisers had been released, which we've seen before, but the Lucid X Original Truth came out as a TFR for a lot of tournament directors, including myself. And I had actually 2 runs of those this past week and sold out of both runs. Hybrid Raiders, the Raider itself has already been really popular, but the Hybrid Raider seems to have even gone to a whole new level. And I think a lot of people, I don't know if it was the hype that was built up, but the Hybrid Raider, from my understanding, is still fairly overstable, but stays straighter longer. So I know a lot of people have been very excited about that. I had 25 of those as well. Sold out of those pretty quick. I know Derek Brookard, Chris Smitty has had some, and I'm sure because they're new on the TFR order form, more people are going to keep getting them. I'm not sure if I will get any more of those personally, just because the event I've been fundraising for is 3 weeks away. And at this point, I don't want to order any more discs. One of the things that DD has done with some of these discs is they make now the quantities, where I used to be able to just order 10. Like I have Hybrid Defenders as an example, and I could order just 10. But the Hybrid Raiders, I had to order a minimum of 100, and then other discs, and then minimum 25 of the Raiders. So that it just makes it harder to want to place a reorder when I used to be able to, if I could just order 50 and I could order 10 molds of 5 discs. But I understand why DD is doing that. It's just it's the way for them to control. So one person isn't buying them all. It gives the opportunity to spread those out amongst many tournaments to maximize on the TFR program. Yeah, Chad, I'm pretty excited for Heritage Hills. For those who don't know, I haven't seen this before, I run a tournament in the first week of June called Heritage Hills. It's really the tournament that I focus on. I used to run a lot of tournaments up to a couple years ago. I ran the Masters Worlds last year. Prior to that, I was running about 20 sanctioned tournaments a year. And during those times, I had the Midwest Amateur Championships. And if anybody's been around long enough, have seen me or Derek selling those discs as fundraisers throughout the year. And we've had some pretty cool, unique stamps utilizing hand-eye, Pandemonium, Truly Unique. Well, I gave that tournament up the year before last, and I created this Heritage Hills. The concept's ultimately the same. A few adjustments that I wanted to make for myself, and it's over on the Kansas side of Kansas City instead of the Missouri side of Kansas City. But it's gained popularity every year, and we do a really big players package for that one. We have food, pretty much not just for lunch, but pretty much all day. As you come through hole 1 for either round, there's food, watermelon, drinks. It's kind of like a hospitality tent there by hole 1, and it's all part of your entry fee. Sometimes we'll get some people give us some donations and stuff, but for the most part, people are allowed to go through, and it's a pretty creative or unique event. I mean, it's 2 rounds of 18. I make the event, the course itself, very skillful, very challenging. But some of the things that I've done that make it a little bit more unique is when you win, you, instead of getting a trophy, you get a custom playing card, like a baseball card, or like the Disc Golf Pro Tour. They do the tour cards, things like that. Well, I make them as a trophy for all divisions. I figure that the majority, probably 90+% of the people playing my tournament will never have a Disc Golf Pro Tour card of their own. So even when you win rec or intermediate, you get this tour card. Well, also by winning the tour card, you get put on what's called the Walk of Champions. So I have this strip that you walk down between 18 and 1, and right, you pass the tournament hospitality, and it's a Walk of Champion. And there's signs, which is pictures of those individuals who've won their tour cards or their trophy cards. So the idea is, now we're into the 3rd year, is that that row will get thicker and thicker and thicker, and we start seeing high names on there, or names that used to started out as recreational and now are superstars. Nicola Castro played one of my tournaments in Wisconsin as a junior, and of course now we all know who Nico is. But if I'd have started something like that back then, it's just neat to see that growth. One of the first ones I have on there is Chris Clements when he lived here in Kansas City. He was a superstar before when he played it, and he is now, but it's still neat to see that history of that Walk of Champions. So anyways, I call the tournaments kind of a legacy tournament. It's a tournament that I want you to, from the when you accomplish something, that it builds every year. Most tournaments, when you go to a tournament and you win, you're great, it's excited, you've shared it with your friends and your family, but come next year, nobody knows who won. Nobody knows who won 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So my goal from day one is to make it that even in 10 years, we are still representing every person who won from day one. And then on those trophy cards, we also have what's called an Eagle Club and an Ace Club. So if you get an Eagle on a hole or an Ace on a hole, you get a custom card as well for those too. And then I do a few random ones, but for the most part, the only way to get that card is to win, get an Ace, get an Eagle. I've yet to have an Ace. I've had 2 or 3 Eagles, which I've changed those holes a little bit this coming year. So we'll see what happens with that. And then the winners. So I know Chad and some of my locals have seen that and have heard that. For those who haven't seen it or come back and listen to this in the archive, then you'll be able to kind of understand. Maybe it's an idea you want to utilize. Feel free to message me if you have any questions. I was actually just thinking today about putting together a video on kind of a vlog. I'll talk about vlogging here in a minute, but basically creating a vlog on my process of creating a tournament, what I look for in creating a tournament, my steps that I go through from the time I think of the tournament to the time I produce a tournament. And a lot of times I like to think outside the box. I'm a very specific about the course. I want the course to be challenging. I am not a fan of, if I throw straight and you throw right and we're in an open field and you get the same score when you did not shoot the course the way it was designed. Just because there's not a tree in the way doesn't mean that the course isn't designed to throw, or doesn't mean the course is designed to throw willy-nilly. The course, even in open field, is designed to throw in a specific pattern. Typically, your tall grass is mowed, or things like that. So in my tournaments, I look at the course and I'm very specific to that. Anybody who's played mine know that I'm not very nice sometimes when it comes to the out of bounds. I'm not making it stupid hard. I'm just making it logical. I'm making it to where you sometimes have to think. And again, it does not reward bad shots. The person who wins at my tournament is going to be the one who shot 36 holes of the best golf. So anyways, I want to create a video that kind of outlines that, something that I have in the history of my YouTube channel. And then people can reference that if they want. They can look at it. There's a lot of tournament directors out there who've been doing it as long as me, longer than me, but there's definitely a lot of new tournament directors out there over the last few years. And there's a lot of tournament directors that just kind of follow basically what I call like a tournament in a box. Very simple. Create a tournament name, order some fundraiser, find the course, run the tournament, give the payout stuff based on how the PDGA structures it, submit the report, and it's done. And there's really, to have a good tournament, there's so much more to it than just that. And it's all the little things that you wouldn't think of that need to be added, and sometimes it's just signage, it's water, it's promoting, it's marketing, it's music in between the rounds if you're going to do that. I actually don't do the music, but I love it when that it is there. And I only don't do it because I don't have a PA system and I haven't wanted to invest into a PA system yet. But tents, banners, being visible as a tournament director, not just hiding at Tournament Central. Pictures. I love just walking around and taking pictures. After the round, the tournament, show those pictures. People love to see themselves. If I'm doing something in the players package, I love to put a person's name on it. So this Trilogy Live episode was not supposed to be about how to run a tournament, but there's a little bit of an insight for those who are watching or come back and watch of the mind of Scott. So, all right, guys. Um, so what's going on? So we got a few people online. A couple new names that I'm seeing on there. Welcome if you haven't been a part of Trilogy Live before, just to kind of tell you a little bit about Trilogy Live for those listening or coming back. Trilogy Live is not meant just to sit and watch me. It's for us to talk to each other. So if you have any questions, anything in the Trilogy world you want my opinion about, you want me to learn about, sometimes those questions I might have to research and I'll come back and do a future episode, or it might even be worth the question to create its own video. Feel free to post it in the comments. Feel free to talk with me and the other people inside the chat board. Feel free to share this to get us so we can get more people with this. Kind of my tagline is share, like, and contribute. I want us, Trilogy family is a family. I want us to be a family, and I want us to be able to bring each other together. So, and even if you're not a Trilogy fan or you have friends who are not Trilogy fans, we talk a lot about things that aren't Trilogy, like the spiel I just went to with my tournaments. It has nothing to do with Trilogy. Some of the other topics that I have that I might talk about here, are not Trilogy. I talked about the discs, that is, but from there on out, we're here because we love disc golf. So let's talk about disc golf. So one of the things that I saw online this week, and I actually saw someone talking about it today. I'm not sure how I feel about it. So you guys let me know in the comments what you think. But during the GBO, Simon Lizotte was not able to play the fourth round because he was ill. So he did not play the fourth round. He played 3 rounds, made it to the fourth, qualified for the fourth. Everybody at the Glassbone Open who made the fourth round got paid. That was the way the structure was paid or created. That morning, he was sick, not able to play. So I don't fault him for not being able to do that. So my question is, and again, I'm not even certain what my stance is on this yet, but my question is, should he have gotten paid if he didn't finish? Somebody had made the comments online that I read that you basically can look at it as if he took par plus 4, because he got last cash. He didn't get cash at 9th place or wherever he was when he dropped out. He got last cash all the way down in whatever spots were 40 something spots. It's as if he took par plus 4 on every hole, whatever that score is, whether it's 100 over or whatever it would come out to. And that's where he finished, which I totally agree. I think it's logical. That makes sense to me on paper to why he's there. He was eligible. He qualified at that time. Because he got sick, I don't think it's not his fault, so to speak. Fault or not, he still qualified for that. There isn't a rule that says you have to complete all 4 rounds in order to get paid in that situation. He made it past the 3 rounds, which put him in the spot to get paid, and then he was not able to finish. But I don't know. There's also some part of that is, again, I'm not against it, but at the same time, I'm like, something just doesn't feel right about that. I'm still, I don't know. I think about like if someone gets an ace and doesn't finish the round. So say you get an ace on the 9th hole, and at the 15th hole you quit. I don't know. Is that the same thing? You still got an ace. There's nothing that says once you get an ace, you have to complete all 18 holes. You have to have a scorecard. Your ace pool is that you got an ace. Nowhere in an ace pool does it say you get an ace with the assumption that you finish the round. Now, as a tournament director, yes, I'm going to fight you and say you have to have finished the round. But if I'm thinking about it logically, kind of in the same way as the Simon Lizotte, and they could be 2 different scenarios, really, I'm not sure that I can find the justification in that. So ultimately, yes, I probably agree that Simon should have gotten paid. He did get paid. He took the scores that for not completing the round or not playing the round, and he got paid. So I don't know. Has anybody got any comments on that? Or so I'm going to kind of go to the board here for a minute. Chad, I'll get back to your X plastic question. Yeah, and Chad on the board is saying that he doesn't see any reason that Simon should not have gotten paid. I think we're kind of on the same page. You're right. If he hadn't gotten sick, even if he had played super poorly, he would have probably finished better. How it was probably really more of a blessing for the other 30 some people that were there. For the most part, everybody that was shooting worse than him got paid more for the fact that he wasn't there. Not everybody, but I mean, a pretty good percentage of it. So, all right. So Chad on the board. I got Kevin Gleason and Chad. Kind of my. Who else is out on the board here? Say hello. But Chad asking, is the X plastic going to become the norm? It seems like hybrid was more of a rarity a couple years ago, and now it's pretty readily available. Think that'll happen with the X. Well, I wouldn't say the hybrid is readily available. The hybrid is still TFR only. I do agree in probably the last year, 2 years, hybrid has become more of a thing on TFR. Hybrid prior to that was kind of what I want to almost call like a myth. It was an assumption people made about discs. A lot of older discs were not coming to the factory or dynamic marked as hybrid. We looked at the plastic and we made a determination based on cloudiness and swirl patterns in a white style type of disc that it was hybrid. But there was really nothing prior to that that said it was hybrid. So, but up to a couple years ago now, they call it hybrid. It's becoming a norm. We still don't see hybrid in stock stuff yet. I don't know if we ever would there. I don't think really any other manufacturer has hybrid as a stock. I think Gateway did at one point. Do I think Lucid X will become more of a norm? I think right now, I mean, yes, I think it's possible at some point, but I think right now it's a good system for the touring pros that are amongst DD, Westside, and Latitude without having to get something that's more of a normal run. I mean, you look at a lot of these discs that are out there, even some of the less popular ones, they're still selling. People are fans of those players and they want to buy them. They want to try the discs. They want an overstable version of those discs. Like you think about the Fuse. Fuse has never really been a really popular disc. Jordan Castro and Johnny McRae, they both started throwing it and made it more popular. But by coming out with the Fuse X, where people knew there would be a more overstable version of that, then they liked that idea better. And just so you know, for those who are listening, the X does not stand for overstable. The X stands for experimental. I sat down with Tomas at one of the dinners during the GBO, and it was kind of funny where like the Lucid is designed, the Lucid X, the Lucid experimental is designed to be more overstable. Where Fusion, where you have the SE plastic, they've done the Fusion blend, and we've had the Fusion X, like Maverick. That Fusion X is Fusion experimental, but it's actually designed to be less stable. So by using the acronym X on any of the Fusion is wrong. I mean, if anything, we should call it Fusion Y, which I don't like that, but Fusion understable. But when we say X in the disc golf world, X typically means overstable. But in this case, and I really probably a lot of cases, manufacturers, the X means experimental. It has nothing to do with the stability. They just kind of have kept that name. I'm not really sure why now. Like on the team ones, we still call it Lucid X. But according to Latitude 64, the X stands for overstable. Where I would almost argue, though, for the team ones, because it's only on Lucid, it should stand for Lucid overstable, is what the X should be. But I'd like to see it become a little bit more of a norm. I personally like the SC, the Fusion style better, because I like the softer grip. And on a lot of those more overstable, like a Raider, I can do a lot more with the Fusion variation of it than I can the Lucid variation. All right. So Kevin Gleason, what's up, Kevin? So got to meet Kevin at GBO. Followed him a little bit with some video. He is still looking for a slow Anheuser mid-range. He's throwing a hard pure, flies. Oh, so he wants a hard pure in a mid-range form. Hmm. What have you tried, Kevin? I mean, my first thoughts or something like that is like a compass or a claymore, something like that. For me, those are slow right churning, a fuse. Uh, I don't know. What are you throwing, Kevin? Chad's asking if I think the X has a better chance of becoming stock than hybrid. Yes. If they were going to choose one, I would bet um, I would bet the Lucid X would become more of a stock. I feel like it's probably easier to make. I mean, a hybrid is a mixture of plastic, where the Lucid X is, I believe, an additive or something created into the disc to change that firmness and to add that overstability. Scott is asking, are Fusion X plastics as stiff feeling as the Lucid X? No, they are softer for sure. The Lucid X's are more firm. Some of them are like bricks, but the SEs, the Fusion blends, any of those discs, which are the same equivalent to the Fusion X, are softer for sure. And I like that because I have a harder grip. And when on that Lucid, it just doesn't give, but the Fusion does give for me a little bit more. Yeah, Kevin, for an original warship is going to beat up very fast. I have a slightly beat loose, or I guess not lucid, VIP warship, and I can get it to fly a long ways, and it's slight right turn too, but I can control it, go a little bit slower, keep it to go very straight. The warship and verdict are probably my two primary mid ranges, and the gatekeeper, which is one that I've been really excited about, which is totally different than what we're talking about here. But those are the three mid ranges. The gatekeeper's in my bag, still trying to, probably waiting for a verdict to lose its spot. But my hybrid warship that is probably my favorite. Kevin is commenting on there that he loves his hybrid warship, and I agree with him. I got a few here just recently in the last few months, and I have a hybrid warship and a couple backups in my bag, and it's just money. I can do just about anything with it, and yeah, it's exciting. But I'm gonna guess if I really get over on it, it'll churn, or if I put a right angle on it, it'll churn. If I get enough air underneath it, it'll come back. But if I throw it smooth and controlled, like you ultimately should be doing with the mid range, that thing will just stay straight like an arrow and go forever. He said it's almost a driver. So, all right, give me 1 second here. So this next topic I was going to talk about is if anybody else has got something they want me to talk about, feel free to let me know. But the next thing I was going to talk about is this coming weekend, starting tomorrow, is the San Francisco Open. The Absolute Extract San Francisco Open. So I haven't done a lot of research on this. I've seen some conversations on this, and just something I kind of bring up again, kind of like the whole Simon thing. I'm not really sure how I feel about this or not, but and I could be off on some of this, but I think the ultimate point is this. I think I have the point down. I just may not have the exact details down. But so the Absolute Extract is a business based out of somewhere over on the West Coast, San Francisco area, I would assume, that is a cannabis company. I don't know if they're oils or vape or what it all is that they do, or if it's research or anything like that. But yeah, so my question is, looks like Chad's beat me. The question is there a problem with that? And all right, man, Kevin, good. Thanks for coming up. Try those claymores, and we'll check you next time. So good seeing you at the GBO. So is it okay that they are a title sponsor? I think having a title sponsor is awesome. I know in the past and over the years we've had Budweiser. Here even in Kansas City, we've had breweries, different things. We got Nate Dawson and with Bevel, where it's alcohol. You can always have the argument that alcohol is more dangerous than pot or weed or anything of illegal substance like that. But regardless of whether we feel that way, by law, it is not the same thing. Whether you agree with the laws or not, it is what it is. The laws are not the same. I am not against weed or marijuana at all. I have never done it. It's just something I have had no interest, but it has more to do with smoking in general. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life either. And yeah, I don't know. So I don't have a problem with it. I've got plenty of friends. I've been around it. Again, it doesn't bother me at all. Outside the fact that it's illegal, I don't want it in my car, or things like that. But my problem is, it's not even a problem. My question is, on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, where we're fighting for this media exposure through the Disc Golf Pro Tour on the big stage, whether I think a lot of our younger crowds probably don't care. Some of the older ones, I think, you're either against it or for it. But still, a lot of the money that's coming in, a lot of the sport, the media you're also trying to get into is that old school mentality. And yes, should we break that? Absolutely. If it became 100% legally, federally, and statewide across the United States, it would not bother me at all. I still wouldn't do it, but I think that's just because that's how I was raised. And I don't have any interest in smoking or putting anything into my body, regardless of what it's supposed to make you feel like. So that's from a personal perspective. But just from the mindset of what we're taught, again, I think you're either for it or you're against it. I don't think it's a winning argument for anybody, but I'm just looking at it from the grow the sport angle. Is it good for the sport? I don't have an answer. The San Francisco Open is an event I really want to go to. I've heard really good things about it. I really haven't seen a ton about it outside of a few conversations out on Facebook and Reddit and things like that. But I was just curious, I guess, more what people thought. Sounds like Chad over here is saying he has no issues with it at all. So I don't know. Anybody else got any other opinions on that? So, but either way, like I said, I am excited for the San Francisco Open. I was trying to look here really quick. I assume all the big dogs are going to be in town. What's up, Phil? Phil Cannon joining us on the board. Yeah, they're at 158 players. The event starts tomorrow. 135 open players. Still just crazy to see that many players. Players from all different ranges. I do think it's always funny. It's a whole nother argument you could go with, but you've got all the way from Paul McBeth at 1054 to two people under 900, Kyle Caesar and Pete Johnson, who were there. And, that could almost be a whole nother conversation for or against of should a certain cap be placed on these big tournaments, regardless of regardless of the Pro Tour event, National Tour event, should it cap at like 950? Personally, I think if a person wants to play and there's room for it, let them play. I think one of the nice things about disc golf is we get the ability to be so interactive with the sport that we love. It's so easy to get an autograph. It's so easy to go to one of these tournaments and shake Paul McBeth's hand. You can't go to a PGA tournament and do that with Tiger Woods. You can't go to a Yankees game or a Royals game and go onto the field and just meet any of the players or basketball or anything like that. But at disc golf, you can. And it goes even one step further is I mean, no matter how good I ever got in PGA, I mean, if you're not in those elite, you're probably never playing with Tiger Woods without paying a ton of money at some kind of maybe charity auction or something like that. But these guys who are playing at the 900, or even all the people that are sub 950, which is probably about 40 people on this list, somebody actually yeah, so like the one guy who's 885 rated, his first round is with Nico Castro. Nico is one of the greatest disc golfers of all time. And that guy who's sub 900, he would never get to play with him more than likely in another scenario. At least not in a tournament setting. You might play with him casually or something like that. The next guy that is 896, he's playing with Cameron Messerschmidt, Nathan Queen, and Tristan Tanner. 2,000 plus rated players, both really good players. Again, outside of a casual round, he probably wouldn't get that opportunity. And so I think it's good for them. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think they think it looks bad. But honestly, unless they happen to be on a feature card or something like that, nobody's probably even going to know they're there. Nobody's paying attention to the tee times that are at 9:20 in the morning past the first day. And again, it's an opportunity. There's a lot of people you look out there, and I'm one of those who's had the opportunity to play with some of those big names on large scale events. So I think it's pretty exciting, but that was a little bit of a rabbit hole. I wasn't planning on quite going onto there. Oh, now I'm just noticing Mr. Pete Cashin is going down to San Francisco in the Open. He's the godfather of Kansas City, for those who don't know Pete Cashin. Hospitality King of the Years. And I said that plural. He's one of the owners of the Dynamic Disc Kansas City store. So we're going to wish him luck. And again, he's going down just to have a good time. 23 Open women players. That is insane as well. So anyway, San Francisco Open starts tomorrow. Like the name or not, it is what it is. I hope a success. Go from there. All right, let's see what we got. Said Phil's on the board. All right. So my next topic is again, if you feel free to interact, but is YouTube. So one of the things that I love to do in my free time, it's probably a nightly activity. It's anytime I have downtime, if I'm not out disc golfing, if I'm not doing something with the family, I would a lot of times rather watch YouTube than even watch television, watch Hulu or Netflix or things like that. And I'll be honest, until I created Trilogy Talk, or at least the preparation for me getting ready to create Trilogy Talk and trying to learn of what I was getting into, I rarely watched YouTube. Round coverage by Jomez or something like that. But even then, I'd have to go out and look for it. Now, so many things come to my phone or devices that I always have something to watch that I'm excited to watch. But my question and what I want to put out there is, do you watch anything on YouTube that has nothing to do with disc golf, or not directly to do with disc golf, like round coverage or things like that? So for me, there are two things that I really look for on YouTube. And one, be a little more obvious, it's because I've been doing the podcasting, is I watch a lot of videos on podcasting, vlogging, Adobe Premiere, how to light, how to settings, things to look at, how to create B-roll, looking at things that aren't obvious. But watching all the different things, watching all the different things that I feel like could make me better. But I also enjoy watching some of this stuff. Literally just to it and on my screen that I have now, there's a tab on the top where I was watching a vlog or a video on how to vlog. And I wasn't finished with it. I was interested and I was watching it because vlogging is something I'm getting ready to start playing with a little bit more amongst my Trilogy Talk variety channel here that we got going on YouTube. So, but I do watch quite a bit of still disc golf videos. But the other thing that I really enjoy watching, and it's really weird because I don't really do it. And I think it's something I would want to do. I just haven't been able to do it. But is the whole hashtag van life. I think it's funny. I own a minivan. My last 3 vehicles have been minivans. I travel out of my minivan. I've camped out of my minivan. I know I have the ability to create some of the stuff I see in my videos in the minivan. I haven't truly played a ton with it yet. I have the idea that maybe just because I spend so much money on hotels and these trips, that maybe to make it cheaper. But I love watching what people do with these Sprinter vans. I know we've got a bunch of disc golfers, Paige Pierce, Paige Bjerkes, Nate Perkins, Sarah Holcomb. I mean, a lot of them who are living the hashtag van life. They travel the country. Conrad does it. And I love some of the videos Ulti World has done on what they've done. But on YouTube, they have, I mean, they go into all the details, and I like watching all of it. I want to see the schematics of their electrical system. I want to see how they built that bed. There is a video out there for a guy who has a van almost identical to mine, who has a shower and a bathroom in his minivan. And it just blows my mind. I've looked at my minivan a few times knowing how he did it, and I just shake my head like, that doesn't make any sense at all. But that's what I love about it. There's just so many cool things out there. But again, the videos are like the YouTubing stuff and the graphics. Chad is saying home free is great. I don't know what home free is. What's home free, Chad? Oh, Phil is home free a band? Phil is saying he watches disc golf channel videos and home free vocal band. I'm going to guess that they're a band. So what's up, Travis? So anyways, that was some exciting that I've kind of wanted to put out there. I've actually been working on a What's Up, Scott episode, just talking about YouTube, stuff like that. It's probably going to be one of my next ones. I want to get back on track to do my What's Up, Scott? So I've got to work on my intro. What's up? Kind of, I don't know. I got to, what? So anyways, get back to doing some of my videos. I've been busy with the summer coming on. My parks job, I work for the Park and Recreation locally here, and the rain has been crazy, so my schedule's been all out of whack. I've got my wife's middle daughter is graduating high school this weekend, so all kinds of crazy things like that are going on. But the one thing I have not changed is watching my YouTube channels. Something that has changed, totally off the wall, but I had to go to the dentist the other day, and they gave me a mouthpiece just for my front 2 teeth here. And when I wear them, I look like a beaver. So I just walk around. So that's just me being silly. But okay, so speaking of then videos, again, I've been trying to learn on my stuff is I'm trying to do highlight videos. Like I said, I'm going to work on vlogging. We have a Kansas City Spring Diva Fever event starting tomorrow. I'm going to try to get out there when I can, fit it around where I don't get in trouble, because again, I do have high school graduation stuff this weekend, but I have some gaps in there that I'm going to be able to be there. But I'm working on trying to create highlights to the game. So like I have put out like shot videos before, but I followed Isaiah Esquivel, Danny Lindahl, and I put out 2 videos with them. Sainanda, I did a video with her at the end of GVO. I actually have Lupe Esquivel and Bruce Esquivel as well from Kansas with some coverage. I got to figure out where I'm going to fit them into my timepiece. But doing some of that, vlogging, I don't know. When I created this channel, again, it was about more of just being topic specific interviews, things like that. And I feel like I've kind of gotten away from that. Again, I call it the Trilogy Talk variety show because I feel like I do everything. And I haven't decided if that's good. Like just being creative and watching or creating new things, even if it's not the same things. In my mind, sometimes I think, oh, well, that kind of makes it exciting. You really never know what you're going to get if you're not used to the same consistency. But at the same time, when I read about success of channels and things like that, one of the big things they say is being consistent. One of the consistency is consistently putting things out, but it doesn't really say about whether it's consistent about what you're putting out. It just says good quality content. And I try not to put out things that I don't think are good. I try to think outside the box and come up with stuff that's creative. But Chad is saying I should wear my mouthpiece for my next episode of What's Up, Scott. I don't even know what that would sound like. Yeah, that's probably what it sounds like. My wife laughs at me when I try to talk to her. And it's not really easy to take out because it latches to my teeth. So, yeah, Chad, I agree. Let it be what it is and it'll find its home. People still seem to be watching. The numbers still seem to grow. People seem to be, I get positive responses. I'm not really getting too many negatives. Doesn't always seem to grow as fast as I wish it would sometimes. But you guys are all doing your part. A lot of you guys are out doing out there helping. But I can always use, if you haven't already, sharing when I posted something. Sometimes, it's real weird. I'll get some people to share constantly. There's a couple of you guys on there who share just about everything that I do, and it sometimes seems to work. And then Keenan Deely, who's, I don't know if it's Daily or Deely, he made a post thanking me for something, some discs that I sent him, and he put a post on there with tagging me, and all of a sudden, like, I got 15 new likes on Facebook. So it's weird how, like, then one person, but it says something, but then some people say something and it doesn't do as much when one does, and it does a lot. Again, it's a whole different market, a whole new set of friends, but it's still awesome. Again, I'm trying to find my way with that. So, all right, guys. So, you guys have anything for me here? I said I'm going on 48 minutes, so we'll slowly finish up here. I hear my wife upstairs coming home. So, like I said, that's about all I had. But I do have one other thing I'm going to talk about. So, we got a new sponsor this week, Gauntlet Disc Golf. They're out of Nebraska. Ben Langley, he donated a couple discs for us to do for our Patreon giveaway, which we will start next week. Next week, we're going to do a Patreon giveaway, and we're going to do probably I'm going to actually do 2 giveaways next week, one for Patreon and one for just branding support, the whole like, share, subscribe kind of things, and I'll randomly draw kinds of stuff. But I'll talk more about that probably on Monday when I go to promote all of that stuff. But we got a new sponsor. You know anybody? It costs 1 disc for 1 month to be a sponsor. You get put on there. But this week, we have this really cool. I saw this in Emporia last week when I was there, and it is a blend Warden with a hot pink and a silver foil. And these things are just pretty. I put it up on my Instagram. A lot of people talked about it. I saw Derek Burkard with Truly Unique selling a few of these, and a lot of people went crazy for these. So this week's Patreon disc is the Blend Warden. If you're asking yourself, how do I get a chance to win one of these discs? Go to patreon.com// Trilogy Talk. And for as little as $1 a month, you can get put in for a drawing for each week for as little as $1 a month. So 4 chances at a drawing for as little as $1 a month. It goes a long ways to help me cover the bills and the expenses as I travel and try to get all this video coverage for you, or buy the equipment so you can look at me better. But all right, so I am bringing up random.org. All right, I currently have 8 Patreon subscribers. Thank you to all 8 of you. So we're going to put 1 minimum of 8. We are going to generate. That is going to give me that number 2. I have these sorted. My number 2 is Aaron Hendrick. So Aaron is a Team Trilogy guy. He is located somewhere here in Kansas. I've run across him a few times, but he was with his boy out at Kansas Crush this past weekend. So good for you, Aaron. If you watch this, reach out to me. If I don't hear from you in a day or so, I'll reach out to you to get this to you. But for everybody else who's being supportive, I appreciate it. There's all kinds of ways to support, even if you can't do it financially. Again, just liking, sharing on YouTube, subscribing, clicking that bell notification so you don't miss anything. So, all right, guys, until next time, keep sharing the Trilogy love with the world. See ya.